Hey, 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 we are live. Just going to give it a second to see if there's anyone out there. I mean, I know there's somebody out there. Let's see if anybody's out there going to tune in. But whether you tune in or you catch the replay, we just want to share a few things with you because now we are starting again at the top of the year, 2019.
Yes.
That's good, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, okay, you guys can hear us. That's great. Fantastic. The reason why we wanted to do this because, like most people, you're going to start fresh in 2019. You're going to have some financial goals. You're going to have some exercise or weight loss goals. And for some of us, we're going to have business goals.
Yes.
Sometimes even life goals, or personal development goals. Hey, brother, how you doing, man? Good to see you, Kareem.
Welcome.
And we just wanted to, share a word or two. We're not going to tie you up all afternoon because honestly, we're still working on our 2019. I know that I've got some things on the books for 2019. What about you?
I have a lot on the table, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, good. But it's not so much for us to talk about what specifically we do, even though we will touch on it. It's just to encourage you that if you haven't started your 2019 planning, you should have.
Yes.
But if you have not, take the day, take some time to literally be still. I talk about simplicity a lot because I think that simplicity is important, extremely important. And why I think it's important is because in our society today, a lot of times people make everything sophisticated and seem more involved. If it's not deep, it can't be good.
Right.
And I don't believe that. I think sometimes the best way of conveying a message or the best way of doing something is simply, the more you put involved, the more working components it has. Sometimes that's what makes it hard to do something.
Yes.
So I'm going to say again, if you have not planned your 2019 or have any ideas of what you're going to do, take part of the day, New Year's Day, pen and paper.
Yes.
And start to write down, some of the things you want to do, some of the things, places you want to go, how are you going to get there? Who's going to be included? Who's not going to be included? Where does your focus need to be? I speak about this from time to time in my book, Aligned by Design. Sometimes we need critical, in-depth analysis.
Yes.
And that may sound sophisticated, but all it is you getting on your own case. You doing an assessment of yourself. Now, 2019 is already here. So my question, say it like Jim Brown said to Richard Pryor when he was in the hospital, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So what you gonna do?
So let's talk about what our topic is today. So it's leading within and improving. So guys, as you think about those two topics, leading within and improving, identify what that really means to you. Understand that, leading within is all about doing that, like Charles said, in-depth analysis and reaching inside to determine where you currently are, where you came from in 2018, what you went through, what your process was, and highlighting the things that worked for you, and also being honest with the things that did not work for you.
Right. Yeah, that's what, I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge because I think a lot of times, I know I've done it. I don't know how many times I've done it for years. Sometimes we do the same thing over and over again, as they say, expecting different results. But sometimes we just don't know better. And I know that sounds crazy for an adult, but I don't think that we mean to repeat the same negative behavior. Sometimes we just have a block or we're just blind. It's a blind spot. I know for myself, I consider myself an intelligent person, but I spent a lot of years really not knowing in my business which direction or which changes I should make. And sometimes people have looked at me like, man, you speaking all over the place. You doing this, you doing that. I know you got the answer. Well, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't have the answer on what you need to change. And that's why it's good for 2019 or just moving forward. You collaborate with other people to learn.
Exactly.
You open your mouth and ask questions. Yeah.
Right. So let me ask you, okay, based on what we've gone through in 2018, now we have had a lot of events that we've done with a lot of conferences, workshops, and all of that. And there's some things that we can look back at and say, what could we have done better to improve what we've done, and
Right.
how to add value to society so that they can not make some of those mistakes. So you have an upcoming workshop coming up.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
I want to acknowledge some people first. So Rick, thanks for joining in. Hey, cousin Geraldine, good
Hi,
to see
Rick,
you.
Geraldine, yes.
Hey, Sherry, thanks for chiming in.
Yes.
And my man Kareem, we definitely need to talk a little bit later. Hey, Mary, good to see you there as well. Absolutely. Thank you for joining in.
Hello, everybody.
So you were asking me what are some of the things that we could improve?
Exactly. So, I just celebrated my 6th annual conference. You did your conference in September.
Right.
And the name of that conference was Resource.
No. It's called Change Mastery, Training to Triumph.
Exactly. So think about that, and think about what the intended purpose was for the community, and what we want to add to the community going forward in 2019. And I'm sharing that because as we plan to lead within, as we plan to make improvements, I think it's wise that we start with ourselves, and then as people see us grow in our businesses collectively and separately, we can add more value. So share what you learned from your conference.
Well, I think where I really want to put a focus on is some of the things that I do and am doing, some of the things I will continue to do, and then as you initially asked, what can be changed moving forward. Now, some of the things that I do, I pour into myself. I buy a lot of books. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and mislead you. I don't always get a chance to read every single book that I purchase, not right then and there. I am not a very fast reader. But what I do, sometimes I skim with a highlighter for things that stand out to me. And you may still say, well, how do you get the most out of a book? Are you really getting the meat and able to toss the bones? Well, no, what you can do, look at the contents, the table of contents, and see what each table of contents is offering in that book, and then go into that particular chapter, highlight the stuff that stands out to you, take notes on it. Now, that's if you don't have time, or if you're not a person that, reads a book from beginning to end thoroughly. But take notes on the resources that you do acquire or purchase. In addition to those resources, I go to conferences. Now, I don't go to conferences all the time, but I go to conferences by certain people that are doing things that I respect, and certain people that have made a mark in the industry that I know that I can learn from. Not only them, but I can also learn by the other speakers on the panel. I try to stay informed on best practices. I try to do all the things that are important. I even have some programs in my home that I can use, that when I'm not out and about, I can still learn from. And believe it or not, some of my students have now produced a product that it's very good. So I'm really excited about what they've done. So the thing is to always be upgrading your education. Now, you may not go to conferences like every month of the year, and I don't advise that you do that, because you have to take time to allow that information to be digested, to sink into your heart and soul, so that you can implement it. It's not about buying stuff all the time and just going, buying. Let it resonate, and then act on some of this information.
And I like what you're sharing, because what you're sharing is not just for business people, it's for everyone. No matter what level you are in your life, if you're a student, if you're an employee, if you haven't even gotten into the work environment, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, all of what you're sharing can apply to each of those groups. So let me just share that, one thing I like to share with you all is know what success is. Success is not always about the finance. It's not always about the popularity. It's not always about, who is shining the most. Success is, what is your true value that you're bringing to yourself in order to help other people? So qualify in your life what success really, really means to you and to others, so that they can begin to see the realness on why you're offering whatever you're doing in society.
Yeah, and I say a lot of times that success is measurable. And what that specifically means is that it's different for every person. For some people, it's only financial. For some people, it's getting in shape. For some people, it's losing weight. For some people, it may be writing that first book. or creating your very first conference. The point is you have to define what success is for you.
Yes.
Now, I'm a very successful person, and I plan to become even more successful with future endeavors and future ventures because, this is the industry I'm in, and I am a driven person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how successful will be depending upon my effort.
Yes.
And it will be determined by the activities that I choose to fully engage myself in. So you got to be fully engaged, whatever it is you're doing. And again, like Sharon said, that some things are for your personal development.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need to be in arenas that cater to your personal development. Now, you asked me about the conference.
Yes.
At my conference, there was topics such as blended family, vision, mindset, history. And with all of the attendees, I know that some of those topics related to different people in different ways because everyone had different needs.
Exactly. Right. And let me just share that the needs of what you provided at the conference, again, it was phenomenal because you had speakers there who were experts in that field, and if you want to share a few names of who you had on the platform, but they know that topic. And one thing I say to people, before you step out there, really know your topic. As you identify what your success is, or what success means to you, as you begin to plan for your next level, have people that are knowledgeable about what you're offering. Have them speak to the intellect of things and not just based on, what's other people are talking about. Provide content, provide details to help other people.
So before we move forward, I know there are a couple of you that have been chimed in and watching some of the footage here, but I want to ask you, what are some of the things you look forward to in 2019? If you could just put that in the feed, so I would love to get some of your feedback. We don't want to just sit here and ramble on at you because, again, we're not going to make this a very long post. We just want to get on, share some things and move forward. What is it that you look forward to? Just, share a word or share a sentence on what it is that you do or where it is that you would like to go as 2019 is beginning to settle in. And until you put those posts up, we will continue, but we want to get your comments. We want to, share our perspectives as well. And if I didn't say it, get a pen and paper because I know we talk about a lot of things as it relates to personal development and professional development.
Exactly.
And there may be something that really resonates with you. And I will go on to share some of the people that were at the conference as Sharon alluded to. Now, I must admit, I was very excited about my conference because many of my students and former students, they have grown in such magnificent ways. I mean, many of them are doing their own conferences now. Many of them are creating their own products.
Yes.
Many of them are doing their own TV shows, broadcasts. And I'm excited because I've had something to do with it. And I didn't write it for them, but the back end of the business is the thing that makes the most difference. So we're talking about people like Bishop David Sabatino, Minister, or Pastor, I should say, Pastor Doc Mangum. We're talking about, obviously, Sharon Parker right here. We're talking about Dominic Brightman, Reverend Allison Daniels, many of the Diamond Coach, Kim Yon Diamond, Kim Yanzari, the Diamond Coach. So we had coaches, we had ministers, we had authors, we had trainers, as well as speakers at this conference called Change Mastery Training to Triumph. Now, will we do that again? I don't know if we'll do it in the same way, if we're going to have a different focus, but the point is we want to do things in a way that really add value, not only to ourselves, but to the people that are coming and to the people that have a need to be filled. So in January 2019, this month, we're doing another event. It's called Tell Your Story, Live Your Story, Be Your Story. I'm trying to get the glare out of the screen. If you have any inkling of writing your book and you're nervous about public speaking, or you one or the other or both, this is where public speaking meets book writing, and they merge. And we are definitely going to do this conference on January 19th because it's time. This is about the third one, fourth one that we've done. People seem to like the idea of learning how to tell the story, how to write their own book, and be more comfortable as it relates to becoming a better communicator.
And let me just add to that, Charles. This is a testimony to what he's saying, because I wrote my book in 2017, and you see that on the topic is leading within. Charles was very instrumental in my life in getting my story out there, and I'm sure you all have heard how important it is for your story to be told. So I am so glad that you helped me through the process of writing my story, because it made me confident enough to even host several conferences that I had this year myself.
Right.
And I stay focused on my topic. And I think if we can add some value to that, guys, when you think about writing your book, and I know you're going to share this at your conference, think about what's your message that you want to stay focused on. You want to write something where you're going to stay there. And because of you, I thought leading within was a good topic, because it's in so many areas you can talk about how people lead within. Mine was focused on history. Mine was focused on the significance of last year being the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass and the 50th anniversary of assassination on Dr. Martin Luther King. And throughout that whole year, I was talking about the importance of being like our ancestors, being able to act like they do, go to and get education, get educated like they did, but most importantly, serve like they did. And I was able to hold several events throughout the year, which stayed on my focus point, which was leading within.
So in other words, you don't want to jump around from topic to topic or thing to thing.
Yes.
You want to have a niche. What is your niche? You know, you need to have a niche. And I do talk about that a little bit at the workshop. And I do that as I speak around the country as well. But point being, you have to be willing to invest in yourself to become the best version of yourself. And that is so critical because, you know, there are a ton, and I mean a ton of entrepreneurs online. But what type of entrepreneur, if you want to be one, what type would you like to become? You know, what's going to be your message? How will you get your message out there? What credibility will you have to add value to your platform? And that's why it's important to know how to communicate, to be a better communicator. So again, it's called Tell Your Story, Live Your Story, Be Your Story, January 19th. It's a full-day boot camp. You can get registered. Go to the WordsmithSpeakersAlliance.com and you can see all the registration information, or you can inbox me and I'll send it to you. But feel free to share this information with someone that you know that is interested in either becoming a better communicator or who wants to write their book.
Awesome. Now, staying on focus, you have a show coming up too, correct?
Yeah.
So tell the audience about your show.
Well, for those of you who don't know, you know, I've been in entertainment for quite some time, and it just has always, I don't know, been a part of who I am, from music to spoken word to acting, even though I'm not currently doing those things. But we've got a social media talk show. I don't know if you can see this. It's called ChangeTheBrain.com.
Hello, Lamont.
Hey, what's up, Lamont? I call him the Professor, Lamont Cary. ChangeTheBrain.com will be debuting the third week in this month. That's the 19th. We will have a cast party, and you're going to hear about topics such as history and mindset and the Me Too movement, you know, what women think about men, the generation gap, blended family, vision. There's just so much we're going to be talking about, and it's shot live on location. So we're excited about it. And again, it's called Change the Brain. I don't know if you guys can see that. Change the Brain.
That's good. Conversations
Without Limitations. Shot live on location at the National Harbor. But see, these are things that I'm doing to keep not just the brand relevant and in the forefront, but it's also things that I'm doing that are in my normal vein, things that I'm gifted at, things that I have a skill set at. And that's what you have to do as you niche whatever you're going to speak about, write about, talk about, be about. And you must make that really important. That's got to be first and foremost.
So I just want to add that, there's a lot of people out there that may be, a little off balance because of what happened at the end of 2018 with a lot of the unfortunate government shutdowns and all the confusion that's going out in society. I want to add some value for that. Never depend on one thing.
Yeah.
Have a backup plan when it comes to your survival. I think what you're offering, Charles, and the platform that you're offering as it relates to having a backup plan, be able to bring in revenues. I know you all know about how important, again, your story is. Like Charles said, come out to his workshop, write your book, tell your story, because the next generation wants to know that we're not depending on just one stream of revenue coming in.
Right.
We have options. The reason why I stay focused on my history, because I know how important it was. Our ancestors knew the importance of becoming entrepreneurs.
Right.
They knew how to survive when they couldn't get, funds from the system, if you will. They knew how to either, have their own products, have their own services, grow their own food. They were creators. And we have that in us too. And I can't wait to share more with you at your show, Charles, and also hopefully at your conference that you're going to be having.
It's a workshop, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and again, regarding the workshop, it's not a conference, folks. So don't expect 50, 75, 150, 200 people. That's not what it's designed for.
Thank you.
It's a workshop so that you can get your questions answered.
Yes.
One-on-one. There should be a small group, maybe 10 people at the most.
Okay.
But come on out so you can learn what do you need to write your book. So you can learn what does it take to become more comfortable as a communicator. And be honest with you, this live was not for that. I'm just sharing that that's something that I'm doing for 2019 to show you that I'm not just talking the talk, but I'm walking the walk. It's also about, not just being a social media star, but being real.
Yeah.
You got to be real with it. So, we don't want to prolong the moment, but just understand you have got to be willing to improve yourself. You got to get a coach. You got to get some books. You got to go to conferences. You have to do something to make yourself better, especially if you aspire to make others better.
Exactly. And remember, leading within, improving yourself really starts with your assessment of where you are right now. No matter what level of profession or personal, identify what that is to you. Keep it real. We're all out here learning from one another, and we're all going to grow together. So continue to do the successful things that you have been doing, but take it to the next level. And again, Happy New Year.
Radiate the brain. Change the game, folks. Guys, take care. We'll see you next time.